And I always kind of try and listen to at least parts of the podcasts that I do, just to try and be professional, to make sure that there's nothing going on in them that I should be aware of, technically. I'm talking about that there's no technical issues with them. And I listened to the whole thing. It was brilliant hearing Darren talk. I really appreciated it. And obviously I was in the room at the time when it was going on, but to listen back on a conversation like that, it's great. And Darren's a lovely, really, really good guy. I'm going to get him on more. I'm determined to do that. And yeah, he's great. So go and listen to the last podcast. Again, you can get it over in the Patreon or in your podcast app. Politics, culture, and some other shit. You can search for that. We'll get the link in the thing. And then, so I've literally just finished a conversation with Ben Collins, author of this book. Give me a second and I'll throw the picture up for you. Oh God, I should have had it in the thing. Should have had it up already, actually. Sorry, stay with me. Sorry about that. There it is. So I'll grab this. Yeah. Where the fuck is it? Oh, sorry. There we go. Sorry, I'm just pulling a picture off Google Images, and I'm going to throw it up now. So, yeah. Grab it, and then you can see who I was talking to, and I'll tell you about it. And then it's brilliant. I had a great conversation, really, really good. The sort of conversations that there it is. So Ben Collins comes from a unionist background, a unionist Protestant background, and this is the sort of conversation, sort of people I want to talk to more, people like this. It was brilliant. I really loved it. And we talked right up to it was like to 10 to 8 there, and we started this at 8 o'clock, and I had to obviously pull up, although we were over the hour as it was, so I would have been pulling the plug on it anyway, but I could have talked to him all night. Great guy, really, really liked what he had to say, and we need more people like him, obviously. Not just the fact that he's from an Ulster unionist Protestant background, but because he talks so well about the subject, and he's god damn it, there was a question I wanted to ask him. Why did he decide to write the book and put his head above the parapet? So I must ask him that. I'll maybe send him a wee message and get that in the notes. So I was talking to him right up until about 10 minutes ago, and it was brilliant. I'm going to drop that with you at the weekend. Yeah, so it was brilliant. I really liked it. It was great. So there we go. That down again. Demos on the live stream here. The new microbreweries and tap rooms sound class in the Darren Matthews pod. Down with the frothy pints of Foster's. Absolutely. You're right. So yeah, so in the last podcast that I dropped on Friday, talking with Darren, we cover everything really. We cover sort of, he's a member of the East Belfast GAA and all that, and he's one of the organisers of it, and we talk about that. We talk about his craft beer thing that he's got going on. You're going to have to listen to it. It's really good. We talk about politics. We talk about football, GAA stuff, and we talk a lot about comedy. Darren is a stand-up comedian, as you probably know from listening to this podcast. So yeah, so it was good. So go and check it out. I would urge you to go and check that one out. I enjoyed that one a lot. I enjoy them all, but I don't always listen to the whole thing, but I was on the bike, and I just was out cycling, and I don't want to listen to this, just to check it out, but it didn't turn off. It was that good. So there you go. Go and have a listen. So let's do this. The first thing I wanted to talk to you, I wanted to show you this little thing. We're going to call this a wee shorty. It's not a political thing at all. It's got nothing to do with politics. It's, as you know, I'm a cyclist, and I'm following the Tour de France closely. Oh, by the way, Damo, I meant to say to you, I asked him your questions, so I know you listen anyway, so you'll be pleased to hear that Ben answered your questions with good insight and well, top insight, I would say. So yeah, so you should check it out. Right, so I'm going to share this with you. As you know, I follow the Tour de France. All right, as you know, I'm a cyclist and I'm closely following the Tour de France right now. And the other day, there's so many. This year's Tour de France is so exciting. It's really, really good one. Sometimes it can be a bit boring. This isn't one of those years. And I tend to favour the one-day classics in April, around March, April, May time. Anyway, up in Belgium and the Netherlands and that. But I follow the Tour de France anyway because I'm a geek. But it's great to see that this year it's been lit up. And this was one of the things. This happened on Friday, I believe. And it was this young man. He's an English cyclist called Tom Pidcock. He's young. He's like 23, and he's current world under 23 mountain bike champion and current world cyclocross champion, I think. So he's got a palmares on him already, and he attacked on the descent of Alpe d'Huez. So they climbed up Alpe. No, it was a Telegraph. I think it was a Telegraph. They climbed up one side of this mountain, and then he attacked on the descent, right? So there was riders in front of him, way in front of him. Watch this, and I know the people listening to this aren't going to see it, but I'm going to play this anyway because it's just too fucking good. So check this out, and if you want to know, if you're listening to this and you want to know what I'm talking about, go over to the YouTube and have a watch of this. Do you see what you think? So here's Tom Pidcock descending. It's just a 1 minute edit. Check it out. Yep, here it is. There we go. Watch this. Watch him go around here. Where do you see this? Watch this. Watch this. Going around this guy. Oh my God. There's a camera motorbike is just about able to keep up with him. This is amazing. There you go. And now, one of the reasons that that's so remarkable, the skill of that man is unbelievable. He's only a young fella. He's like 23, young fella, right? But he's so small. I've left it up on the screen there. He's so small. He's a really, really small guy. I'd say he'd be like 7 stone ringing wet, this guy. 8 stone. I don't even think he would be. So on a descent, he would have a natural disadvantage against all these riders. And you can see as he goes past these riders, these are Tour de France climbers, so they're not big guys either. But they're massive compared to him. You can see him as he goes past. He goes past this guy now. Look. You can see the physical size difference between those two men. Right? So Pidcock must have or has a natural disadvantage because he doesn't have that extra weight to help you propel him down these mountain roads. And he just cuts through these guys like butter. Well, his fluidity on the bike and throwing that bike about, as my friend Pete, PG, said, poetry in motion. And it really was. And he went on to win the stage, which is his debut at the Tour de France, and it's his debut win. Absolutely fantastic. And I just wanted to share that with you at the start of the podcast, just because it's so beautiful. I'm a big sports nerd and all the rest of it. So yeah, Rev says on the YouTube here that Pidcock descent the other day was incredible. Yes, it was, my friend. I love Le Tour, my favourite sporting event of the year, and my favourite 3 weeks of the year. There you go. Kenny McConaughey, who owns the bar, the Woodville, around the corner from us, he was on Up Due West the other day. Him and a load of the boys from around here all went. They were on the mountain for like 5 days getting drunk. It was brilliant. But yeah, Jesus, there he is. Look at that. Oh my God, it was so. I was watching it. I was shouting to the TV, Rev. I'm sure you were too. I was going, I can't believe what I'm watching. And you know what? The last time I saw someone descend that well, that you were going, holy shit, this is remarkable. The last time I remembered, and I'm sure there's been many occasions because these guys, there's lots of great bike handlers out there, was Fabien Cancellara. Do you remember him? Paris-Roubaix and Tour of Flanders and world time trial champion numerous occasions. And he stopped on one of the mountains on a descent to replace his rear wheel, got a puncture. And he was so calmly just waited for the car to replace the puncture. And then he just jumped back on and just made up the extra time that he lost on the descent so fluidly. It was so beautiful. Now, I think Pidcock's a better descender than even Cancellara. But yeah, so there we go. I thought I would share that with you. And yeah, it was good. It was good. I don't know if you're watching the tour. It's a very, very good one this year. I don't know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I know it's a niche sport and all the rest of it, but for obviously Rev is a cycling nerd, much like myself. And yeah. Absolutely breathtaking. You can go, by the way, I'm showing you here this little edit. You can watch the full descent on YouTube. It's worth it. It's just a few minutes, and it'd be worth your time. If that impresses you, you should go and watch it. It's fucking fantastic. So there we go. That's Tom Pidcock being class. I do like him. He's very, very good. Very, very good. There we go. Okay. So, what are we going to talk about? So we're going to talk about a few things. John Bolton. Let me get the thing up for you. So we're going to talk about a few things, but they're all connected to coup d'etat and things like that. Okay. So we're going to talk about the coup d'etat that the US mainly have been carrying out in Latin America. And we're going to start with this. So John Bolton was on CNN the other day. And let me just put the thing up there. Where is the... Yeah. Well, that's not it, but he was on CNN the other day. Oh, here we go. That's what I'm looking for there. No, it's not that one. Sorry. Oh, God's sake. It's here. I'll throw it up now, separate. So he was on CNN the other day, and he basically said the quiet part out loud. And you don't do that. you don't do that. That's not something that you do. And one of the things that I've noticed recently, I'm sure you have too, is there's more and more of this stuff happening, of these guys, these security state officials, ex-security state officials, or whatever, sort of saying these things out loud. And I've got another example of that. Getting this tidied up on the screen there for you. So this is the article I'm going to be reading from. So, and it belies to me the brazenness of these people, that they can just openly say things like what you're about to hear. And there's a confidence there that they can just say this, what we call the quiet part out loud, and just get away with it. So, yeah, so Demo here, on the YouTube. Do them professional cyclists have a spare wheel ready for flat tires, or do they have to whip out a basin of water and some spoons? Your ma's spoons are all bent in the drawer, and hook the tube out a stick like your dad used to do. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Very good. I remember that. Every spoon in our house was fucking bent. Used to drive my mother nuts. God rest her. So here we go. So John Bolton, check this out. Now he's talking to Jake Tapper, not a porn name. It's actually a host on CNN. So check it out. Hear what he says.
On the committee, the commentators, that somehow this was a carefully planned coup d'etat aimed at the Constitution. That's not the way Donald Trump does things. It's rambling from one half-vast idea to another, one plan that falls through and another comes up. That's what he was doing. As I say, none of it defensible. But you have to understand the nature of what the problem of Donald Trump is. He's, to use a Star Wars metaphor, a disturbance in the force. And it's not an attack on our democracy. It's Donald Trump looking out for Donald Trump. It's a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence.
I don't know that I agree with you. To be fair, with all due respect, one doesn't have to be brilliant to attempt a coup.
I disagree with that. As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat, not here, but other places, it takes a lot of work, and that's not what he did. On the committee, the commentators.
So you heard what just said. Like, I'm going to go through this and pause it as I go, right? Because there's so many things. Just in this short clip, this thing is 50 seconds long. Check it out.
On the committee, the commentators, that somehow this was a carefully planned coup d'etat aimed at the Constitution.
By the way, they're talking about the January the 6th things, the January the 6th riots that happened in Washington on January the 6th, obviously, when they broke into the Senate, didn't they? The protesters. That dude, look, with the what did they call him? The Q shaman with the funny hat and all. I thought he looked quite fetching. I like this look. He looked like a fucking lunatic. So they're talking about that. So he's sort of saying this is not. They call it a coup. The liberal media are calling it a coup. He's going, this is not a fucking coup. I've done coup. That's not a coup.
That's not the way Donald Trump does things. It's rambling from one half-vast idea to another, one plan that falls through and another comes up. That's what he was doing. As I say, none of it defensible. But you have to understand the nature of what the problem of Donald Trump is. He's, to use a Star Wars metaphor, a disturbance in the force. And it's not an attack on our democracy. It's Donald Trump looking out for Donald Trump. It's a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence.
This whole Donald Trump thing, don't get me wrong. Donald Trump was what Donald Trump is. I clearly am not a Donald Trump supporter, fan of him or people like him. But the US media and elite class, and I don't like using that word elite when referencing these people, the only thing they are elite, it seems to me, is elite levels of, they display as elite levels of greed. But Donald Trump is a symptom of the system that threw him up, to use a phrase from Chris Hedges. The system created him. And if the system doesn't fix itself, it's going to create another one of him. You know, Donald Trump's not going away. You know, he's clearly he's not going away. There's talk about him running again in 2024. And if it's not going to be him, it's going to be somebody else just as bad or maybe worse. So, John Bolton, who is a vile monster of a man, is actually, pains me to say it, I actually agree with him in the sense that he's saying this is not a coup. This wasn't a coup. It wasn't a coup. It was a disorganized. It's not a coup. It's not legal. It's wrong. What they did was right, but it's not a coup, right? So, but wait till you hear what Jake Tapper says here. So Jake Tapper is talking to John Bolton, who he knows who John Bolton is. He knows that John Bolton is a man that has organised coup d'etat and is a vile monster. But listen to what he disagrees. Listen to what he says.
I don't know that I agree with you. To be fair, with all due respect, one doesn't have to be brilliant to attempt a coup.
What the fuck would Jake Tapper know about attempting a coup. What would he know? But this is him trying to. He's one of the media voices that's claiming that this is a coup, that this January the 6th thing was a coup attempt. Don't get me wrong. If I suppose if somebody had got in, and I know that there were certain people trying to get into certain offices and certain chambers and stuff, I'm not saying that they wouldn't have done anything horrible, but it's not a coup. What would they have done? They would, they can't the monkey keys to the car. They wouldn't have known what to do. So, but Jack Tapper's sitting there disagreeing with someone who he knows has organised coup. Many of them probably still involved in a few.
I disagree with that. As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat, not here, but other places, it takes a lot of work, and that's not what.
As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat, not here, obviously. He's getting that out there. Jack Tapper doesn't fucking push back on this. There's more to this interview, and he doesn't go, "Sorry, what? You've organised coup? Where? What do you mean by that? I'm gonna challenge. No, I'm gonna challenge you." Instead of, he challenges him on whether a coup d'etat is difficult or not, but doesn't challenge him on the fact that he's admitted live on TV that he's organised coup d'etat. Right? Unbelievable. So what is a coup d'etat? We know. I know you know. We're going through this, right? Let me get... so here... Demo on the YouTube says Trump went downhill badly after appearing in Home Alone 2. Clock was ticking on Macaulay Culkin as well, too. You're right. Honest to God. Imagine peeking of Home Alone 2. Yeah. So there is a diagram on the screen. I'll show you. I've got it up on my screen so I can read it. I have it somewhere. Yeah. So it is a list of coup d'etat that the US has carried out in Latin America. And now the title of it says 50. There's been 56 military interventions in Latin America. But it doesn't go back, for me, this diagram doesn't go back far enough. So it goes back to number one here, Venezuela. In 2002. Why does it start there? I don't know why it starts there. But the farthest it goes back on the diagram is Puerto Rico, 1950. Now we know that. So maybe it's the official the official definition of a coup. Maybe that's what it is. But nonetheless, we won't argue about semantics. This is a fucking impressive, in a horrible fucking vile way, list. And I don't know if the boys can see it on the screen, but Venezuela, 2002, US-backed coup, kills civilians, kidnaps President Hugo Chavez before the Venezuelan people forces return. Number two, Puerto Rico, 1950, holding the island as a colony since 1898. The US helps crush a rebellion demanding independence. Number three, Guatemala, 1954. CIA directs bombing, invasion and coup after newly elected government nationalises the United Fruit Company. Lands after the newly elected government nationalises the United Fruit Company. So we know that Fife's Bananas, the United Fruit Company, that they organised a coup in Guatemala to get over fucking bananas. People died. So it's just a big list of that. El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, Chile, Haiti, and the big famous one, Cuba. The CIA leads the Bay of Pigs invasion to the People's Revolution, but they are defeated by the Cuban people. So obviously that one didn't work. So we have to understand what a coup is. A coup is, when we're talking about the US is going to other people's countries, and they're saying, we want your stuff, but we're not prepared to pay for it. We just want to take it. And then you set up your political puppet governments, presidents, etc., etc. And then laws are drafted in favour of the favoured companies, be the gas and oil companies. At the minute, Mexico has just renationalised, and we're going to get onto that as well. So Mexico has just renationalised the lithium industry, not fully, but almost, I believe. So I'm going to read this quick article here about, I'll pull it up on the screen for you as well. Yeah. Yep. There. Why is that not coming up? It's called Coups and Neo-Coups in Latin America. Okay, we'll go for another one. Yeah, there we go. Software is so fiddly. It's really good, but it can kick your ass sometimes. Yep, so there it is. So this is from Venezuelan, a publication called Venezuelan Analysis. Now, you might say that that's not a very non-partisan publication. I don't care. I'm not a non-partisan. So, and this, no, I'm going to put that back. So there we go. So there's the article on the screen. By a guy called Juan Paz. I recently received an article entitled Coups and Neo-Coups in Latin America, Violence and Political Conflict in the 21st Century, by Carlos Alberto Figueroa Ibarra, a long-time friend and academic at the University of Puebla, Mexico. Okay. The authors say that since the 1980s, democracy in Latin America has asserted itself across the continent, so much so that the topic has become recurrent in the political sciences. However, during the first 17 years of the 21st century, new coups resurfaced, which they describe as neo-coups. During the 20th century, the authors identified 87 coups in South America and the Caribbean, with Bolivia and Ecuador being the most hit countries, while Mexico has only suffered once. The greatest concentration of coups occurred in 4 decades, really it is, between 1930 and 1939, with 18 coups in South America. Between 1940 and 1949 with 12, and 1960 and 1969 with 16, 1970 and 79 with 13. Between 1900 and 1909 and 1990 and 1999, the fewest coups occurred, 3 and 1 respectively. Finally, 63 coups were deemed as military-led, 7 civilian, 8 civic military, 6 presidential self-coups, and 3 military self-coups. 77% of coups had marked influence of right-wing ideology and party participation, and since the 60s, US intervention has been observed in several coups. Several coups, I think, is being very generous. The neo-coups of the 21st century are, however, different from the coups of the 20th century, and with distinct characteristics. Of the 7 studied, 4 have been carried out by the military police, 2 which failed in Venezuela 2002 and Ecuador 2010, and 2 which were successful in Haiti 2004 and Honduras 2009. Likewise, 2 parliamentary coups, Paraguay and Brazil, both successful. One was a civilian state-led coup, Bolivia, 2008 failed, and 3 of them there is evidence of US intervention, Haiti, Bolivia and Honduras. Okay. He didn't mention Venezuela. Let's see. Hold on here. Right. The intervention of the military police, or the military or police, took place in Venezuela, Haiti, Honduras, Ecuador. In Haiti, Bolivia, and Brazil, large-scale concentrations of opposition citizen groups were preceded the coups, exerting political pressure. There were also other cases of subsequent concentrations in support of President Hugo Chavez and Rafael Correa, which prevented the success of the coups against them. In the 3 cases, there was a clear intervention by the judiciary. Honduras against Manuel Zelaya, Paraguay against Fernando Lugo, and Brazil against Dilma Rousseff, and also against the legislative powers. Okay, this is getting a bit wonky. Right, all right, okay, right. So that's just a bit listy, isn't it? I don't like reading that stuff because it's too boring. There is not a single coup d'etat led by leftist forces which reveals an equally new phenomenon that we're talking about in the 21st century. The entire left has accepted democracy as a political system and elections as an instrument through which they may come to power. Historically speaking, this phenomenon represents a continuation of Salvador Allende's and the Chilean Popular Unity's thesis, which trusted in the possibility of building socialism through a peaceful path. It is the political and economic right which have turned to neo-coup mongering with their discourse of defending democracy. And we're going to get to that. I may as well show you that right now. So I have another little video for you here. So check this out. So we're going to read that again. It is the political and economic right which have turned to neo-coup mongering with their discourse of defending democracy. Now, that language of defending democracy, let's hear this American general lady. Let's hear what she says. You want to see this one? Class. All the medals. Turn that down. Put that up. Check this out.
This region is so rich in resources, rare earth minerals, lithium. The lithium triangle is in this region. There are a lot of things that this region has to offer. The Belt and Road Initiative, 21 of the 31 countries are signatories. Over the last 5 years, 2017 to 2021, investment over 50 billion. I think it might be even closer to 100 billion of Chinese investment in this region. I think they're playing chess. Russia is also prevalent in this region, and I think they're playing checkers. I think they're there to undermine the United States. They're there to undermine democracies, and they all mean business. Whether they're playing chess or checkers, they're there to undermine democracy. And quite honestly, with all of the disinformation and the Russia Today, Espanol, Sputnik Mundo, over 30 million followers on Russia or on social media. I mean, this is very concerning. We have a lot of important elections coming up or just happened, and we have to continue to stay engaged and concerned with this region.
So that's, you heard this is another saying the quiet part out loud, right? She shouldn't, she's, we're defending democracy, we're worried about the region. China is investing in 100 billion, up to 100 billion in the well, why are you not investing 100 billion? So your solution is to send someone that looks like a comedy general with all our medals on our jacket there for all the people that she's killed, I guess. So that's what you get medals for, being in the military. But anyway, we're going to come back to her. I'm going to play that again in a second. So, back to the article. Where were we? Right. Neo-coup mongering with their discourse of defending democracy. And this is the thing with language. When you hear her talking, you must understand the language. We must understand the language that they're using and that they're using against us. So they use the touchy-feely language. We're defending democracy. We're the good guys, right? So back to the article. Those same right-wing sectors have not only sponsored soft coups, but also promoted the use of two mechanisms that have been tremendously successful to them. Firstly, lawfare or legal war, used to pursue an appearance of legality. Those who have served or identified with progressive governments. Secondly, the use of the most influential media, but also of social media and their trolls, which were put at the service of combating populists and progressives and defend the interests of persecuting governments, business elites, rich sectors, and transnational capital. These phenomena have been clearly expressed in Brazil against Inácio Lula da Silva, Dilma Rousseff and the PT Workers' Party, but also in Bolivia against Evo Morales and the mass movement to socialism in Ecuador, where right-wing forces have achieved the prosecution of Rafael Correa, of figures of his government of the Correistas. In Argentina, Alberto Fernandez's triumph stopped the legal persecution of Cristina Fernandez and Kirchnersimo. I've said that wrong. Now, back to the Inácio Lula da Silva was the president of Brazil, ex-president of Brazil, who was basically jailed, and because he's very popular. He used to be a very, very leftist guy, and he moved sort of closer to the centre, though he's still a leftist. And there's going to be an election held in Brazil soon, and he's expected to win that. So we'll see. So they use what they call lawfare. Put these people in jail, keep them out of the way, right? You could say that's what's being done to Julian Assange, right now. Lawfare. Hasn't actually been prosecuted for anything, hasn't been found guilty of anything, but he's been in jail for how long? Under threat of extradition. And no doubt Priti Patel is going to give him it. So back to the article. But there is finally a new element to be added to the neo-coup mongering of the 21st century, which is the anticipated coup d'etat. This has been inaugurated in Bolivia and Ecuador. In Bolivia, not only was the vote count suspended and Evo Morales forced to take refuge outside the country, but he and his party have been politically outlawed, and every effort has been made to marginalise them from future elections. In Ecuador, all kinds of legal... I think Evo Morales is in Mexico at the minute, isn't he? In Ecuador, all kinds of legal ruse have been used to prevent Rafael Correa's vice presidential candidacy. He was ultimately not admitted, to not recognise his party and other forces that could sponsor him, as well as to make it difficult for the Correa-backed Andrés Araúz, I don't know that name, sorry. I find it difficult to pronounce it. Andrés Araúz team to run for the presidency. Okay, sorry about that. It also has an equally unique characteristics of what happened in Chile. In Chile, despite the protests and social mobilisations, as well as domestic and international political pressures, the political plot was finally manipulated in such a way that the plebiscite convened for October 2020 will not be for a constituent assembly which could dictate a new constitution, but for a constitutional convention which allows traditional forces to preserve their hegemony, according to the analysis carried out by the renowned researcher. Okay. So, there we go. We're going to call that last paragraph. It is, however, an otherwise obvious lesson in Latin American history. When popular processes advance, the forces willing to liquidate them are also prepared. And finally, for these forces, democracy doesn't matter at all. Only saving business, private accumulation, wealth, and the social exclusiveness of the elites. Yeah, absolutely. There we go. So we're going to get to this in a second. This is the Uber files. If you heard about this, it's all sort of connected, loosely connected. So this American general lady, now she's talking, the reason she's talking about what they call the lithium triangle, I think it's Bolivia, Chile, and Mexico. I think that's right. Bolivia for sure. Mexico for sure. So I think the other one is Chile. So I think that's... There may be a few more, maybe. So I think that's what she's referencing. But just listen to the language. It's fucking vile.
This region is so rich in resources, rare earth minerals, lithium, the lithium triangle is in this region. There are a lot of things that this region has to offer. The Belt and Road Initiative, 21 of the 31 countries are signatories. Over the last 5 years, 2017 to 2021, investment over 50.
The Belt and Road Initiative that she's talking about is the Chinese government's attempt to, well, basically what they do is they go in and they invest in your country and they extract a price for that. I'm not saying that they're nice guys about it. I'm not saying whatever. I do remember listening to Yanis Varoufakis talking about it, and he said he would rather deal with the Chinese than the Europeans or the Americans. And he did have to whenever when Greece was when Syriza got elected, and the Belt and Road Initiative is basically they go in and they invest and they say, well, listen, can we go and mine that mountain, or can we go and build an airport here and we'll take this and you take that, and can we buy this port and we'll do this, we'll do that. And it's making friends and influencing people, really, and they're doing it all over. And this is where the Americans and the West in general, because they haven't done that, because we've been, the West, the empire, you know what I mean? We don't have this thinking. We don't think of going in and partnering up with these people. We go in and take their shit, right? So, and it's very, very successful for China. It's working very, very well. So the West and the US specifically don't like that.
Billion. I think it might be even closer to 100 billion of Chinese investment in this region. I think they're playing chess. Russia is also prevalent in this region, and I think they're playing checkers. I think they're there to undermine the United States. They're there to undermine democracies, and they all mean business. Whether they're playing chess or checkers, they're there to undermine democracy. And quite honestly, with all of the disinformation and the Russia Today, Espanol, Sputnik Mundo, over 30 million followers on Russia.
Right, so she said she's talking there about Russia, RT and Mundo and all these state broadcasters. We just literally watched John Bolton. I don't know what his official title was. He worked for George W. Bush at one point and under the Donald Trump administration. Admit that he's helped organise coups live on CNN. The so-called the biggest news broadcaster in America, and he went on that show and just admitted that he's organised coup d'etats. And the lead anchor, Jake Tapper, not a porn star name, Jake Tapper, didn't pull him. Didn't go. Pardon me. What did you just say? You've done what? But she's, roll it back here, she's given off about RT and Mundo and disinformation and what they call disinformation. I don't think it is, whatever. The state interests are state interests, and if that's the, whatever, I'm not defending RT or anybody else. It's up to them. But you get the hypocrisy, right? That's what I mean to point out here is the hypocrisy.
Honestly, with all of the disinformation and the Russia Today, Espanol, Sputnik Mundo, over 30 million followers on Russia or on social media. I mean, this is very concerning. We have a lot of important elections coming up or just happened.
We have. She's
and
an American.
We have to continue to stay engaged and concerned with this region. This region is so.
This is she's in America. You have a thing called the Monroe Doctrine, which is this idea that the rest of the Americas is our backyard. This is our backyard. So therefore, we are entitled to interfere in these countries, their elections, and so on and so forth. And that's why she can talk like this. And she's at this conference that she's at is in it's in Florida. So let me just through. There, see, right. Let me just, sorry. Oh, so much going on the screen here. It's very difficult sometimes to stay on top of it. So, yeah, okay. I don't know what's going on there. There's a weird thing happening on my screen that I don't like. But anyway, I think I got rid of it. So, she is at a conference in Florida. There we go. Zoom in on that. Yeah. General Richardson made these remarks while sitting beside Ivan Duque's US ambassador and Carlos Vecchio, who claims to be Juan Guaido's diplomatic representative to the United States, at the 2022 America Summit hosted by Luis Almagro. So here's some responses on Twitter. Almo, who on his way out is miraculously finding how to dance well in a club, showed us one reasonable way to deal with the resource lithium in a particular problem. So he basically nationalized the lithium. That's the president of Mexico. China is playing Go. The US is feeding lead paint to everyone and sending meta headsets out. That's true. So let's see. There's where's all of this? Here we go. This is the one. Show additional content, including those that have. No, it's not there. There was one that explained exactly about the Belt and Road thing. So, but anyway, not to worry. Onwards. So they're organising coup d'etat in order to do what? To steal wealth. That's all it is. That's just all it is. They're stealing wealth. End of fucking story. And it's weird what's going on at the minute around the world. You can see the US is hollowing itself out. Its massive military budget its infrastructure is falling apart, doesn't have healthcare. Its citizens from the working class right through to the middle class are drowning in debt, personal debt. And, it's fucked. I don't know. So that's what I meant. So I wanted to show you that. So that thing about the coups that's going on, John Bolton says that, right? Out loud, doesn't get challenged. This woman, General Richardson, we've got a close eye on the region. And, they're not saying that we're going to go in there and help. They're saying we're going to go, if we want something and we see it not going our way. We remember a few years ago, well, only a couple of years ago, Elon Musk saying we coup who we want. And we're referencing the coup in Bolivia that happened and that ultimately ended up successful. So, it's not okay. It's not okay to coup d'etat people. In my opinion, call me old-fashioned. I'm one of those guys that thinks it's not okay to organise a coup d'etat. So, yeah. So there we go. So, I'm going to pull the plug on that one. And I'm going to real quick, because I've been going for an hour and an hour before that again. And I want to, right, you know what? We're going to go straight to the Tory leadership, because I was going to do this one for you. The Uber files, it's on the screen there now. So about how Uber, there's been a whistleblower and he's come forward. He's actually an Irish guy, but he's come forward and explained exactly what Uber have been getting up to put themselves into the markets of various countries around the world. And so much so to the point that even Enda Kenny, it shows you here, who's a transport and Minister for Transport Pascal O'Donoghue, they ended up with their manifesto. Parts of it with regard transport policy was written by Uber, and that was a thing that happened. And so this is the article here on screen. It's from the BBC, but it goes into the big thing that happened was in France. The Uber files are a trove of more than 124,000 records, including 83,000 emails, and they explain exactly Uber's business strategy to get into the markets that they wanted to get into was they didn't seek for regulation or for permission. They launched anyway, and then it's you have a compliant political class who aren't really interested in stopping you, and then eventually they just ended up. But they didn't. To be fair, they weren't successful everywhere. They're not successful in the Republic of Ireland, as in they have to be licensed. It's not just a private car share thing like it is everywhere else. But yeah, so I wanted to hit that, but it's another article. It's a big thing, and I'm going to go too long. So we're going to do this instead. We're going to do this live. This is going to be a new thing because I figured out how to do it. So Tory leadership latest. Typed it into the Googles. It's on the screen. And there it is. Wow. Modern technology. Look at that. Jiro bay. Jiro. What is that there? Class. Oh, I must tell you as well. I'll tell you at the end. So, the very latest. The very latest in the Tory leadership race. Rishi Sunak tops leadership poll as Tom Tugjob pulls out. Who's that? Tom Tugendhat? Oh yeah. See, here we go. Rishi Sunak tops the Tory leadership poll as Tom Tugendhat pulls out of race. The thing with this is Rishi Sunak, this is among the MPs and stuff. When this goes to the membership, apparently they don't like him. So the real favourites, people are saying, is between Liz Truss and Penny Mordaunt. Right? Which is amazing. So there's the result of third ballot of Conservative MPs. Only 4 candidates will proceed to the next round. Rishi Sunak, 115. Penny Mordaunt on second. Liz Truss on third. Now, Tom Tugjob has been eliminated with 31, as you can see there on the screen. But what that, as I said, it's expected that Rishi Sunak, because this goes to the members, right? And this is another thing as well. The fucking Tory... I only became aware of this today. The Tory leadership is going to be decided in September. September? It's fucking July. We have another month and a half of this shit. So there's that. So back to the Tory leadership latest. Tory leadership. I'm going to type latest out of it. So they're down to 4. All right. So the reason that come up was because the leadership results were at 8 o'clock, just as I went live. So, and then Tory leadership third debate cancelled. I'll type that into the Googles and see what. Sky News cancels the Tory leadership debate after Sunak and Truss pull out. There's it there on the screen. Following a bruising set of exchanges in the first 2 debates, so 2 of the 3 candidates currently leading the MP's ballots, Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss, have confirmed to Sky News that they do not want to take part. Now, I personally think these debates are another ridiculous American import that don't do much, but I do like a good bit of blue on blue violence, so I don't really mind. But so there was supposed to be a third debate, and after the last one they got a bit nasty with it, so they decided that they didn't want to take part because it was making them look bad. Oh well, never mind. Hey ho, there we go. We'll get over it, right? So there you go. you're up to date with the latest in the race to be the next Tory leader, which is just one ghoul after another, right? I don't see that affecting us in any positive way whatsoever, right? Over on the YouTube, Demo says US coups with strong vibes of that Star Trekking song. We come in peace, shoot to kill. That's exactly, isn't it? Isn't it just? That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Well, here, listen, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for joining me, boys, on the YouTube, and the rest of you. This will be going out to you tomorrow morning, I think. Maybe I might get it out tonight. I think I'll get it out tonight, and you can have it tomorrow morning. Demo says, Christ, the Tories are screwed if that's the best they've got. Well, if that's the best they have to pick from, unfortunately, I think it's fucking us that are screwed. Wouldn't you agree? It's that's a fucking nightmare. And then again, you haven't heard the interview that I had with Ben Collins on the Irish Unity question. It was brilliant. He was he talked to that about, you know, these people don't govern for us. We're not in their we're not in their agenda at all. They don't care. It's, you know, we're being treated like shit by monsters, and we need to be away from them. Very much a mantra that I have been, a drum that I have been banging for a very long time. So yeah, so there we go. I'll get this podcast out to you. I might get it out tonight. I might go and get a tin of Guinness and just get this done. I need to put it through the nice audio filters to make my voice sound all dead sexy and all. So yeah, so there we go. And don't forget to go over to the Patreon, like, share, subscribe, do the whole thing. And yeah, so you're going to have 2 podcasts this week, and maybe more if I can do it, but it won't be the Friday night, so we'll see what Friday night brings. So there we go. Cheerio now.